said I wasn't going to cover anything Christmas related in this horror marathon. But considering that this is something a little different and it's still technically horror, and I already reviewed the movie itself last year, I think I can be allowed a little bit of leniency here. Not to mention, since I've already reviewed Night Before Christmas, this is pretty much my only other option. Even though apparently Vicious was also a Christmas movie, honestly I didn't notice it when I watched it, so being told that it actually is, yeah, that makes no sense. So, um, please excuse allergies. But, yeah, that's why we're reviewing this, because it's still technically horror. Even though it technically has a different holiday about... Look, it's a confusing cluster... It's a confusing clusterfuck. I know. But I still think this is something worth talking about, because as much as I love watching gory carnage slasher movies, what I love even more is seeing how those gory carnage candy slasher movies were made. And I usually am one of those people that absolutely loves having bonus features with like behind the scenes content and cool stuff like that on certain releases of movies and DVDs. Heck, that's the reason why I'm hunting down the entire Harry Potter Ultimate Edition collection. Also because those are some of my favorite movies, and I'll talk about that in another video. Point is, I know this is somewhat Christmas related, but it's still a horror movie, and it's a documentary about making a horror movie, so I think I'm allowed a little bit of leniency here. So, let's talk about it. And not to mention Art the Clown just got added into Fortnite, so I think this can actually be somewhat of a celebration of that, if you will. Since my computer is turning out to be way too shitty to actually let me stream Fortnite right now. So, what's up? What's happening? What's going on? Everybody, welcome back to Animation Station, or just for anything and everything animation, including TV and movies, and especially monster films. I am your host and monster fan, Jackson Small. Welcome back to 31 Days of Horror, Monster-Mania. Welcome to a curious but very fascinating little oddity titled Art Attack, the Dissection of Terrifier 3. A behind-the-scenes documentary that's so extensive that they couldn't include it in the bonus features of the original movie. It is that extensive, it is that deep, and it is that in-depth. And obviously I can't really break this down like an actual movie review because, well, it's a documentary. And unlike when I reviewed another documentary from earlier this year, that being, the George A. Romero Resident Evil documentary, which was one of the most fascinating yet tragic things that I've watched all year, this is one about a movie that actually got made. So, it's pretty simple and straightforward, but it does tell you a lot. And seeing what goes into every single little gory graphic detail of this movie is really cool. At least in my opinion, as someone who really loves practical special effects that this movie has literally built its legacy off of. So, even though it technically should count as like an extended bonus feature, it's actually its own separate thing. So, here's my review of it anyway, because I just feel like 31 Days of Horror is not complete without a little bit of carnage from Art the Clown. I hope you enjoy. While I usually love when behind-the-scenes stuff is included as bonus features in movies, I especially appreciate when there's so much to show and tell that they have to make it into their own separate releases as substantial, fun documentaries. Thus we come to this feature-length, in-depth look into the extensive production of the latest installment of the Terrifier series that was released last year and was really, really high on my best list. It does everything it advertised, with an extensive look into every single practical effect, every single kill in the movie, and how it was made, including the infamous shower scene. Tons of interviews with the cast and crew, exclusive footage showing different POVs of similar scenes, how the series has evolved over the years with extensive interviews with creator Damien Leone, and many more delightfully gruesome treats hidden in the stockings for fans to find. Sure, it's not as enthralling or fascinating as Romero's Resident Evil, because that's a documentary about a movie that never got made. But it's still a great time that gives even more spotlight to the franchise's signature carnage. Like, if you're someone that loves practical effects and loves finding out how super gory, dark, twisted horror movies like this are made, well, this is simply a must watch because it tells you literally everything. It tells everything, it shows everything, it's uncut, it's uncensored, and it's really fucking badass. So, for horror historians that want to know how practical effects can be done correctly, even in the modern age, this is definitely one to see. For Terrifier fans, absolutely, obviously, a must see to see how everything in Terrifier 3 came to be. And for horror fans, yeah, I think it's still a worthwhile little watch because it is short by documentary standards, but it still has a lot to show and tell, and it'll definitely further your appreciation for these movies and all of the hard work and dedication that goes into it from the cast, the crew, the creator, and everyone else involved. So, with all that said, my final verdict for Art Attack, the Dissection of Terrifier 3 is going to be a high and well-deserved 8 out of 10. I can't give it any higher because it is very straightforward, but it gives you what you want. It tells you everything that it wants to tell you. And that's it. That's all I've got for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thumbs up just today. Feel free to hit the hype button if you so desire to get this higher up in the algorithm. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the Terrifier series in the comments down below. If it's one of your favorites, if it's one of your least favorites. Would just always love to hear your opinions. And I will see you all next time when we dive into another recent movie, and one that's actually surprisingly really damn good, despite being a remake. Yeah, you have no idea how refreshing that is to say, especially after going through more terrible live-action Disney schlock. I'll see you next time for the unrated remake of The Toxic Avenger.